Welcome to Knowing Nicholls with Nicholls Men's Basketball. We've got head coach Austin Claunch joining us for a get-to-know-you session. It's coach's first year as head coach with the Colonels, third year as a member of the coaching staff. But we've got to start your story from the beginning because there's really no one else in this world that had a chance to live in Argentina, Norway, and the United Arab Emirates as a child. What are your earliest memories as a kid growing up an international observer of the world?
Yeah, we were sort of all over the place when I was younger. My dad was in the oil business, so we traveled around a lot until we sort of settled in Houston when I was about 10. But a lot of times they get jumbled up. You mentioned it. Born in Buenos Aires, lived in Dubai for a few years, and I was actually in college when my family moved to Oslo, in Norway. So only a few experiences there, just a couple of summers. But yeah, certainly a very unique childhood, and feel really blessed and had a lot of experiences and learned about people of different backgrounds and different cultures that I think, well, when I look back, really kind of helped mold and shape not just the person, but the coach that I've become.
Basketball is such a global game, and the ability to relate to anyone, anywhere, it's been invaluable for you. What were some of those early lessons about treating people as people and not worrying where you're from or what your background is?
Yeah, no, I mean, whether it be at school and athletics, whatever the case was, I was always interacting with people of different, from all parts of society, from different countries, there was always, not always, but typically there could be a language barrier or whatever the case may be. And, you've got to figure out ways to collaborate and make things work, whether it be in the classroom or whether it be on the basketball court or, whatever it was. I was still pretty young at that age, but, I think you take for granted sort of the values and the lessons that you learn that, ultimately you're going to help down the line when you're 28 years old, trying to, teach some of these guys who had different backgrounds and different upbringings than you, how to be a good basketball team.
You always have to think one step ahead as a coach. Your recruiting class next year is just as important as what you're doing right now. Players want to know that you're real, that you're authentic, that you can be in a room with anyone of any background and speak their language. I'm sure that's been one of your biggest assets, is that you don't have to fake it just to get a kid to come here. You're always the same person.
We can't hear you get a trophy without leaving without it, right? Great job. I tell our guys this all the time. We just want to be us. We just want to be Nicholls basketball. And for myself, I just want to be Austin Claunch. And if that's good enough for a recruit and that's good enough for their family to trust me to come be part of our program, then that's great. I think being authentic and being genuine and being fair, is how you start when you talk about leadership.
Yeah.
And when you create a good team, and it all starts from the top. And as the head coach, I take a lot of pride in kind of leading that charge, and then I think it trickles down to our players, to our assistant coaches, and we want accountability in our program. And it starts with me. If there's something that's sloppy, if there's something that isn't run the right way, or whatever it is, I've got to look in the mirror first and figure out what I can do differently in order to change that and make it better. And then once I've done that, then we can start to talk about how everyone else around the program can change as well. But I like to think as the head coach, it starts and ends with me when you talk about leadership and how things are run on a daily basis.
You are a consumer of conversation. You're always around people that can teach you. And when you talk about leadership, you have a lot of icons in the game of basketball that you've spent a lot of time with. Take us through some of those early opportunities to get to know a John Lucas, to have a one-on-one with a Larry Brown, to work for Paul Hewitt, to work for Brad Brownell at Clemson. A lot of people that have made a lot of money off this game, but they've won a lot of games, and you've been able to hold court with them.
Yeah, I've been just really blessed to have the opportunities I've had at my age, and it started with working with Coach Lucas right when I got out of high school as a player, first and foremost, and then as a coach, just kind of seeing him interact and coach guys. Coach guys really hard, pros, high school guys, college players. He treats everyone the same, and he pushes guys. He pushes guys in different ways, but to the same level. I think every player has different buttons that you need to push, but at the same time, he tries to get the best out of everyone, whether that potential is an NBA player or whether it's a varsity high school player. He wants guys to reach that potential. So Coach Lucas was definitely an early influence for me. And, as a player, I played for a guy named Jason Zimmerman, who's still the coach at Emory and one of my best friends, somebody I talk to almost on a daily basis. They're a little bit busy right now, just as we are playing. So, but he's someone that I learned so much from. And then as a coach, just really, really fortunate to work for guys like Paul Hewitt, Brad Brownell, and of course Richie Riley, who my former boss here, guys who have won a lot of games, seen everything in this business, from Final Fours to tough losses to Sweet 16s to winning championships at places where they're not often won. I've been fortunate to see so many different styles and concepts and practice plans. I mean, whatever it is. I'm still very young in this game and still learning a lot, but at the same time, it's great to have that background where I've seen coaches with a bunch of different beliefs and sort of mold that into my own.
Coach Claunch played high school ball in Houston, played college ball in Atlanta, and then you're off along the Eastern Seaboard where your college career began as a coach. East Texas has really always been home for you. And when you took this job at Nicholls, especially as a head coach, you said you wanted to build something over a long period of time. How has the last year, since you became a head coach at the age of 28, how has it allowed you to reset, relax, while being focused on the future, but trying to build something in a part of the country you are so comfortable being in?
Yeah, no, it is great to be back closer to home. My family and my mom and dad, get to make their way over here for a couple more games than they did back when I was at Clemson or, even at Emory when I was a player. But, certainly I'm excited about where the program is headed. Obviously we had so many scholarships that, we had to take care of. We put a brand new staff together. And we're heading in a direction that I want to go in. I think it's important that it's hard. You want to win every single year, but you also want to build. And I think you sort of have to do that simultaneously. And I think we've done that. After we have a class sitting out here, and then we'll have another big class that we'll need to sign for that 2021 year. And, we definitely want to continue to dig into that local talent. We've gotten really fortunate with guys like Kevin Johnson and Raji Lyons. And, Abdul Latisha is a Houston player that we're excited for his future as well. And then, of course, we're always going to turn over every stone in regards to recruiting when it comes to junior college transfers. I think you have to jump in all three of those markets, including the high school market, to make sure and make sure you're connecting all the dots to make our program the best it can be.
Well, we're just getting started with Coach Claunch. You'll hear a lot more from this man and his program. Thanks for getting an early taste of what knowing Nicholls is all about. Coach, thanks for hanging out with us.
No, absolutely. Absolutely, I appreciate it. Go Colonels.
Check him out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We'll make sure that you can see more of Coach and the Colonels right here on Knowing Nicholls.